From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, would you rather beat your ACC rivals or would you rather beat the SEC teams on your schedule? We also turn a critical eye to baseball in the aftermath of last weekend, and we're generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it, everybody. It's one little bottle with a whole bunch of good stuff going on. 260 milligrams of all natural caffeine, vitamins, nutrients. The vitamins and the nutrients help things like your mood improve, help your focus improve, help your pump improve, help your immune response improve. Get the drift, everybody? Catch it. Catch the fever. Take a shot of Vitamin Energy. See what it can do for you. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Sip the juice. VitaminEnergy.com. Warchant.com. Your ultimate Seminole sports source. Recruiting. Basketball updates, baseball updates, football, obviously. We've got you covered around the clock, all times, all possible angles. Come to join the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Corey Clark, I trust you're well. You can give us a quick update, I guess, on how things are going out in Hoover, Alabama, possibly?
It was really hot on Thursday afternoon for Brady's game. But other than that, they tied, so they didn't lose.
Nice.
He didn't have a hit, so it wasn't a great day. But I did meet funnily enough, before Brady's last at bat, a man came up to me. His son was getting ready to play the next game, and he's like, would it be weird if I told you I just listened to you on the radio?
Hell yeah.
I'm horrible at names. You know this, Aslan. I believe his name was Seth. Okay. I know he's an FSU grad. I know he now lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I also know he worked at WCTV as the sports reporter in 98 and 99.
Ooh.
So anybody, if that rings a bell, I want to say Seth Goodman, but I might be thinking of Saul Goodman. But I apologize. Very nice man, and I hope his son won their game.
Okay, heck yeah. All right, so I'm not even sure how good or bad this sounds. I don't think it sounds maybe nearly as crisp as usual, but we're both remote. Sorry about that, everybody. We're still going to generate discussion sparked by Cummins, but you might not see our faces, but is that really that big of a loss, everybody? Is it?
No.
Is it? All right, we got a lot of questions to get to. It's kind of late, and
it's my fault, everyone. It's my fault.
We all play. We all have a hand to play in these things. So I'll take accountability. Let's get to these questions. Let's go to Noel Dad for Life, Corey. First off, wake up, Aslan. When are you going to share your pre-show music mixtape? Some of the songs you play are just chef's kiss. I think that's the one thing I'm hoping for from AI. I just want to be able to have like an AI bot where I can be like, hey, go back and listen to every Wake Up Word Chant and tell me the song that's played in the first 30 seconds. Because I do want to create this master list, but it's gone so far. I mean, golly, bro, this is 7 years we've done the show.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
It's a lot. So for me to audit it would take a long time. But I do want to create something like that and then maybe have like a Spotify playlist. But anyhow, now let's get to the real question. If you could pick one position group besides quarterback where each year you automatically get the best guys and they all meet or exceed expectations, what position would it be? P.S. I hope the first drive of the new year is a 3-and-out and we look sloppy. That way maybe we can go 10-2 as opposed to how it looked last year.
Flip the script. The script. How about a pick six on your first possession?
Yeah.
I mean, I think to me the answer is, pick one: defensive line or offensive line.
He says offensive line. Our guy Noel Dad for Life. Yeah.
I feel like I think that way too, just because we lived through what it looks like to have a horrible offensive line, and your offense can't do anything ever. Like literally can't do a thing. Yeah. So if you have a good offensive line, there's no way to have a bad offense when you have a good offensive line.
What about Iowa, buddy?
It's almost impossible. I don't think that's true. I think they have one or two good players, like their center's a badass. But I assume all those other guys are they're going to be farmers in 2 years. So I don't think they've had some good offensive linemen, but not great offensive lines. And also, like, especially let me rephrase. That's a fair point. A non-Midwest team that has a good offensive line, because I feel like maybe the skill players in Florida are probably better than Des Moines. or Madison, Wisconsin. So if you're using the skill players from your Sunshine State to go along with a good offensive line, you're going to have a good offense.
Yeah, offensive line, I would say, because, you can have all the great receivers, but if you guys don't have time to get open, right, no offensive line, you don't have an offense. I wanted to find this stat. There's a shout out to our guy Nick Roush over at the Kentucky Sports Report website on the On3 network. Also, my roommate, when I was up at the elite camp in Nashville last year, I think this is their offensive line coach or somebody on the staff at Kentucky's. Like, we talk about John Schlarman, the talent developer. We never talk about John Schlarman, the recruiter. He signed 9 offensive linemen. All 9 became starters, many multi-year starters. It's insane. He did not miss. So, that's where you want to be. You want to be able to recruit these guys, identify them early, and actually have them be multiple-year starters in an effective, flourishing offense. So, offensive line, please, soon, now. No pressure, Herb Hand.
Is your girlfriend sleeping?
No, I think she's reading.
Oh, okay. It seems like you're definitely trying to be quieter than normal.
Well, no, it's because our audio. So, you're so low that if I speak at full throat, I will probably, it'll be really... Listen, everybody, I am not an audio engineer. I think you all figured that out after year 7 now, as I pointed out. Yeah. A lot of times, Corey, you're either significantly louder than I am or I'm significantly louder than you are. What I need to do is we need to unify this. We need to use the same equipment. You use the same microphone, same setup that I'm using. That way we're going to be
What's the fun in that?
What is? Well, that's why I get paid the big bucks. Then Gene's going to be like, well, what am I paying you for, Aslan? Yeah. We go to C_. Does it make you feel uncomfortable, Corey, that I'm not yelling and being my usual
No, I
rambunctious
just want
self?
people to know you're not in a bad mood or you didn't get horrible news. It's just, or your girlfriend's not sleeping.
Right.
It's just we're trying to figure out the levels, everyone. It's all about the levels.
It is. We go to our guy, C_Swizzle, looking at he's spelling ESECPN.
Right.
All right. Basically, here we go. 2 options, Corey.
Okay.
Would you rather beat Miami and Clemson? Miami's first predicted in the ACC, Clemson second, which is crazy, he says, in itself. Or would you rather beat Florida, who ESPN predicts will finish 11th in their conference, and Alabama, who ESPN predicted will finish 3rd in their conference, to bookend your season with dubs against 2 SEC teams?
So I think that the working premise there is that you lose the 2 that you aren't. So if you pick Alabama and Florida, that means you lose the Miami and Clemson games.
Correct. Yes.
I pick Miami and Clemson all day. If you get to Charlotte, and if you beat Miami and Clemson, you're going to have a darn good chance. Then you are in the playoff. I don't care about perception. I don't care about what it means that you lost to the SEC to start your season and end your season. You will be in the playoff, I think. Well, no, that means you have 2 losses. Essentially, you'll be in the playoff because you'll be in Charlotte with a chance to play your way into the playoff. So if you beat Miami and Clemson, I don't think you're going 2-6 in the ACC and your only 2 wins are Miami and Clemson. You're going to be pretty good if you beat those 2 teams, and you're going to have a tiebreaker on over both of them. So I think the answer is easy. It's also one of them is a rival. So it's not like you're picking Clemson and SMU or Clemson and Virginia Tech. You're picking a rival that's close to Florida. If some people think Miami's a bigger rival than Florida. So I think that's a no-brainer. As much fun as it would be to start the season with a win over Alabama and end the season with a win over Florida, pragmatically, for your purposes of trying to get to the playoff, which is the most important thing, you want to beat Miami and Clemson.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It'd be really cool to beat Alabama and then beat the Gators in the swamp. And if you're 10-2, but I guess the problem is that I don't think public perception of you being an SEC slayer, right? Because it'd be like, Florida's down, Alabama doesn't have Nick Saban.
Man, you don't get credit for beating ACC teams. Do not get credit for beating SEC teams. Period. You beat a 9-win LSU team that had the Heisman Trophy winner and 2 top 10 picks at wide receiver. You beat them by 20-something points, and it didn't matter at all. So you don't worry about the credit you might get for beating an SEC team. If an SEC team loses to Florida State, it's a down year. So no, you just get yourself into the tournament and see if you can make some noise. In my opinion, but it would be a nice way to start the season.
Yeah, let's see here. I think the last time The last time a team, well, it wasn't that long ago, 2022, North Carolina had, but that's before they went to that's when they still had divisions in 2022.
Yeah.
But since they've gone without divisions, Florida State was 8-0 in conference, Louisville was 7-1, and SMU last year went 8-0 in conference, Clemson was 7-1. So yeah, if you have two losses, if you have two conference losses, the odds of you making it to Charlotte are pretty slim. So to get to the playoff, you need to make it to Charlotte.
Especially because you really have three losses because you'll have those two teams will have the tiebreaker over you.
True.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Those two teams are probably the two teams you're competing with. So that one of them or both of them would have the tiebreaker over you.
All right. How about the economy, or the economics, rather, of sport? Noel 23, wake up. We always hear there's so much in college sports, but is that really true? So much money? There is a big difference between revenue and profit, and I don't believe colleges make any money on sports. If so, why do boosters have to contribute money? I've been a Golden Chief for years and have contributed a lot of money to FSU, yet they're always asking for more. While Florida State is not a poor school, we are not considered rich. However, for 2025, boosters will contribute approximately $30 to $40 million, plus Bowden Society has $155 million in pledges, and NIL will contribute another $15 to $20 million to that. If there is so much money in college sports, why do we boosters have to contribute so much money? It doesn't happen in pro sports. Maybe the solution to the craziness in college sports is to outlaw booster contributions. Thoughts?
You know, I haven't thought about that, but
Florida State's in the black, by the way. They're one of probably 24, maybe 36 programs in the country, athletic programs, Corey, that create more revenue than they have expenditures. So
yeah, look,
not by a
it's
ton.
all, like Florida State could get, like, if Florida State didn't care about softball and golf and soccer, they would make a lot more money if they put all their money into just football. Trust me. What they do is they spend all the money they make on football, which is a ton. They put it back into the football, but they also pay Lonnie Alameda almost $1 million. They pay Brian Penske a lot of money. They pay Link Jarrett a lot of money. Like all these schools, and they don't make a ton of money. They're paying Luke Laux, who's never coached a game at any level as a head coach, over $2 million. Almost all of that is coming from football money and TV revenue and all that. Like Michael Alford, go look at all the athletic, and this isn't a shot at Florida State. Go look at Ole Miss's their staff directory, and look at all the athletic directors and associate athletic directors and assistant athletic directors, and think about all the money that is too. Like all these people are living very comfortably. Some are just straight up rich on the back of college sports. You know, so that there is money there. It's how you want to spend the revenue. And the question about the boosters, I get it, man. And I've been banging this drum for a while. It's like it's crazy that college administrations, colleges, athletic departments keep just asking for more and more and more. And that's a fair point, right? Like, why do I keep giving you money? And I know Golden Chief isn't Platinum Super Duper Chief or whatever they have now as the Bowden Society, but that's still money. It's still a good amount of money. My dad was a Golden Chief. And you would wonder, okay, I've donated for 25 years, and I keep being told that we don't have any money or we don't have enough money to compete. Well, then this seems fruitless, and it seems futile. So why am I, or futile? I wanted to make sure people knew how I was spelling. Not feudal like a kingdom. But so why am I doing this? If what Golden Chiefs give don't matter much. And so I get why a longtime booster might be like, well, do y'all need us? Are we making a difference? And of course you are, but I certainly get the consternation of like it's just a drop in the bucket apparently. It's what I'm being told. And it would be wonderful as this thing morphs into professional sports, which it will in our lifetimes in some capacity, that it just morphs into college sport. It just morphs into professional sports. And the only way you are asked to support the franchise or the program is to buy season tickets. Just like a Houston Texans fan. They do not have to also pay the coach's salary. They just buy season tickets. That's their contribution. And I feel like that would be a nice way for this to end up. But I don't know. I mean, I assume trust me, everyone listen to this. And this is not a Florida State specific thing. I'm not just piling on Florida State. They have done nothing wrong in this. They're going to continue to ask for more and more and more. It will not end. And I understand how you could reach your limit at some point when you keep being told how poor you are. And, again, Houston Texans fans, Seattle Seahawks fans, Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders fans, they just pay for the right to go watch their games. And that's how they spend their money. Or buy merchandise. But at the college level, not only do you have to buy merchandise and buy season tickets, our head coach needs a $1 million bonus. We need to pay for this assistant coach. We need to fire this coach and pay his buyout. It is such a backwards system that has been completely exploited by millionaires that I hope it gets righted sometime in our lifetime, but I don't know that it ever will.
Part of me, this is why I was kind of like rooting for Notre Dame. Not that I think they're not a humble program, obviously, but I don't think their roster was nearly as flush with cash as Ohio State was. I feel like everyone's got to wear this at some point, right, Corey? I think that's part of this equation too. By the way, Michael Alford spoke to the Board of Trustees yesterday and said that he's in favor of the House settlement. Yep. He says that the system will work, quote, we just have to allow it to work. I'm in full favor of the system and the audit that comes behind it. What I'm skeptical of, and I've let my feelings be known, is the enforcement. It's just, listen, every school, like, I doubt Texas Tech is eager to cough up another $1 million for a college softball pitcher if they don't actually make it to Oklahoma City. Right. So we'll see how many of these schools, how many of these teams, like Ole Miss, we'll see. I am curious. I'm a big Lane Kiffin guy. They lost so much talent. They kind of tried to reload, but not nearly as overwhelming as they did last year. That might have been their one big shot, their one big go for it. I mean, they went and added everybody they could last year, and they still, they weren't even able to make it into a 12-team playoff. They didn't make it to the SEC championship game. So, like, how willing are you year 4, year 5, year 6 of this stuff to keep coughing up money? Like, it's all well and good when your team is doing well and you're Texas and you make it to the semifinals of the playoff, but I think even these large institutions that have these huge fans, right, that love the university and have all this money and stroking a check for $1 million isn't the end of the world. Still, though, like, after year 3 and you're not winning a national title, you probably are less likely to do it, and hopefully that also brings a little bit of sanity along with the enforcement of all this. Because, again, the only way you can give $1 million, $2 million to a player is for it to be something completely absurd and asinine, because there's no fair market value that says any really... Arch Manning's not worth $2 million. I don't care that his last name is Manning. He's not going to generate any kind of, even in Austin, Texas, enough for, unless you're Google, to,
right,
make $2 million make sense.
Yeah, you're saying like his name isn't worth that much. Like, he is not, Zion Williamson or Steph Curry. He's not selling. He's not moving Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, he's not LeBron.
He's Arch Manning.
Yeah, he's not George Clooney selling Nespresso, right? Like,
yeah. Or Charles Barkley with
right guard.
Samuel L. Jackson and whatever that stupid what is the Discover commercials they do?
Capital One, Spike Lee.
Capital One. Sorry, Capital One. That's my bad. I'm a proud Capital One customer.
Card holder.
I'm actually, I don't like that card that much. But hey, y'all didn't tune in for that. It's just not a great card for me. It hasn't given me all the benefits I thought it would. But yeah, man, that's the whole point. It's like it's not the whole point, but the pay for play is dumb because nobody is really worth that. Yeah. I shouldn't say that. Not many people are worth that. Travis Hunter in the University of Colorado was worth. He could have sold some cars in Boulder.
Yeah.
He had a name that resonated, that rung out. Carson Beck in Miami, no. Maybe if they're good this year.
Right.
Cam Ward by October of last year had a name that rang out in Miami. He was a big-time person and personality, but he wasn't last February. He could have walked in any nightclub in South Beach, and they'd be like, oh, who are you?
Right.
And then in October, like, oh, look, it's the Heisman frontrunners here. So, but I just think when it comes to the college fans, like I think that I kind of want to, and not that I'm the voice of college fans, but I feel like because of my the way I was brought up with having a dad that was a golden chief and then became like a silver chief or a platinum chief, whatever is above that, who gave so much money to this university and who I know would want to be a part of the Bowden Society if he was still alive, and would want to be a part of giving the best team, giving the best players to this coach, helping pay for this coach, keeping him from Alabama. He'd have wanted to do all that with his money, and it's like, well, it's just absurd that he has to. It's just absurd that he has to do that this is the system, that if you want a good coach, your boosters have to pay for it. If you want a good player, your boosters have to pay for it. If you want to fire a coach, your boosters have to pay for it. Meanwhile, ADs come and go, head coaches come and go, and yet the boosters, the ones that have been here for decades, are still footing the bill every time. And hopefully, this thing gets under control. As Michael Alford said, the one thing I worry about in that story that Ira wrote that's on the website is the enforcement. But if they can legitimately enforce these new rules with the House settlement, maybe, hopefully, things will be dialed back into some sanity.
DJ R. Star, what will it take next year to generate optimism for you in the state of the program? Obviously, we seem to be stuck in live and die by the portal space right now, and that will temper any long-term optimism, even if we play well next year. If our starting receivers have good hands, make exciting plays, if our backup offensive linemen look like they're developing, if Amari Williams looks like a budding superstar, and if we get good play out of our young homegrown linebackers and DBs, would that, along with a better recruiting class, make us believe that Mike has a core to build around without being subject to the whims of the transfer portal? It's a good question, Corey. It's a temperature check, I guess, of where we're at right now. This is usually, I think I would tell you to fire. I'm going to fire up the cameras, but we're not on camera right now. So we still love the people over at Cummins. So, Corey, I'm just going to picture in my mind's eye you pressing that button, or maybe just cranking it. Maybe just cranking the generator.
Don't picture me cranking it.
Oh, yeah. Touche, everybody. Picture your recreational lifestyle, your vacation with portable power, reliable portable power, reliable, quiet portable power. You get all that when you get the Cummins Onin portable generators. Also, the RV generator, killer. The Marine generator, killer. You can't lose. Give them a follow over on Instagram. It is Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. He had a second question. He asked how many Warchant subscribers are there. I'm curious about the size of our ecosystem. If we told him that, we'd have to kill him, I think, right?
Well, of course.
So all that, Corey, that's all you need, right? Like if the receivers, if LaWayne McCoy and Javen Boggs and BJ Gibson look awesome, if Jalen Todd gets some burn in a blowout win and looks solid, and Andre Otto's looking really good, and Amari Williams is doing a poor man's Travis Hunter impersonation, and these young linebackers and DBs go out there and ball out, and he gets a top 10 recruiting class, is that enough to make you feel optimistic about the long-term future under Mike Norvell? Is that a core?
Sort of. I think the more simple answer is just more wins. If he wins 8 to 9 games, including a bowl or maybe an ACC championship game, if that counts as the win, if he goes 8-4, 9-4, 10-3, somewhere along there, then I just feel like 2024 looks more like the outlier, and then you have belief in him again that he can structure a roster. Whether it's through the portal or it's through high school ranks, he can structure a roster. And, theoretically, man, the way it's supposed to work is if you do win 8, 9, 10 games, then all of a sudden you become more appealing to those 4- and 5-star kids that you're in their top 3 or their top 5. And maybe a few more pick you because you look like a winner again instead of a loser, which you were in 2024. So you can make it specific. I get the question. You want to see like LaWayne McCoy have 35 for 500 and 6 touchdowns and be like, that was a good recruit. Mm-hmm. Javon Boggs is going to be an NFL player. That's a stud. That's a good recruit. Mm-hmm. That defensive lineman is the truth. He's going to be a good player.
Kevin Wynn.
You want to see that, right? But not as much as you just want to see wins.
Well,
so wins are the most important thing, and then see how it stacks up from there. And if he's going to be a portal guy, he's going to be a portal guy. It's not ideal. It's not, I don't think, how you build sustained playoff contenders. But it would give me hope that, okay, he figured out how to put together a competent football team after the despair of last season?
This actually, I don't know if it was intended. I think it's actually, it's a good question, but there's another layer to it, and you're talking about, Corey, with the wins. I do wonder if there is a certain trade-off between 8 wins and 6 wins, depending on who produces in those wins. Because, listen, I think most of these guys, Darrell Jackson, James Williams, right? Like, these guys they're thinking they're James Williams would be one and done here at Florida State, but this is like money year, this is last year. They're going to be playing college football. Yeah. Elijah Herring, Stephon Thompson, like those guys are going to be gone. If Deuce and Squirrel go crazy, it's like, all right, we won 8 games, but we're losing 75% of our production. Like, in terms of that, you still don't really have a remaining core. But if they win 6 games, but like Javen Boggs is the second leading receiver, and I don't know, Justin Cryer leads the team in tackles. And I don't know, let's throw Charles Lesser's name out there because we haven't said that. He ends up having like a team high 3 picks, right? Like, I wonder if that in the long term is better for Florida State. Although I don't know. I don't know if Mike Norvell's, if he has a core, if he only has 6 wins, right? Like, I don't know if he's got a team to coach.
The only way that plays out where you can win 6 games and I think feel comfortable that he's coming back as the head coach next year is if Kevin Sperry plays the last 4 and looks really good.
Yeah.
Quarterback is the only thing that matters when it comes to keeping a coach after a mediocre or bad year, in my opinion.
Some Lagway stuff with Billy Napier.
Correct.
Sounds like, right?
Like,
yeah.
You're like, okay, this is something to build on. A cornerback looking pretty good, a receiver's looking like they can play, that's not enough to keep Norvell's job. Yeah. If Kevin Sperry looks like he could be the next big thing, and for some reason he's playing well at the end of the year, it looks like he's going to excel in Gus Malzahn's offense, that's enough to excite everyone. That's not fair. But that's how life works. The quarterback is the key. Otherwise, if Mike Norvell goes 6-6, which we all understand is really 4-6, if he goes 4-6 after going essentially 1-10, so he's 5-16 in his last 21 games against Division I opponents. Sorry, man, I don't care that Charles Lester had 3 picks.
Yeah, you're right. Well, here's the thing, and I get it, man. Like, for it to be sustainable, you need to be able to recruit high school well. But these are mutually exclusive things. If this team looks great this year, it doesn't matter if Darrell Jackson leaves and James Williams leaves, right? It's going to be like, okay, they've been able to identify, they've been able to develop again, right? Because, listen, Johnny Wilson came through the portal, Trey Benson came through the portal, Keon Coleman came through the portal, Tatum Bethune came through the portal.
Identify, right? Identify and evaluate.
So
that's what you're looking for. So identify is the great word right there.
Like whoever it doesn't matter if it's a true freshman. Like, unless I get it, if it's a high school kid, you feel a little bit better about it. But listen, we need to believe that his identification, like his IDing and evaluation, is what we thought it was in December of 2023, not what we thought it was in December 2024. That's the key part.
Because again, it's not just that they were horrible last year; it's that they were horrible and he thought they were going to be good. Yeah, like I legitimately think he thought they were going to be good. He was his own FPI. He thought they were going to be number 1 in the conference, and that Darius Washington was this guy, and they were going to have a great defense and a great running attack, and he was wrong on all of it. So that's a big issue.
What we're not wrong about is telling you that the best portable power solution for you folks is going to be Cummins. Again, check them out. Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. It's Noles behind this whole operation. They actually listened to this show a few years ago. Are you doing it? Nice.
Yeah, I just did it.
Is it weird that I closed my eyes and pretended what it looked like?
Don't be gross.
Cummins Lifestyle. Give them a follow on Instagram, everybody. Let's have a baseball question before we go to commercial break here, Corey. I'm just going to read this. I don't know. Me and Random, maybe I need to come hang out the corner pocket more often so I actually can bump into Random_John. He says, Corey, it was great talking to you at CP before the game Sunday night. Aslan, I appreciate our back and forth here. Your approachability is part of what makes you guys awesome and why we love what you do.
Thank you.
All right. This is you, Cards. He just, John, like, you got a lovely wife. You got a great job. Why so cynical? Good morning, guys. What's Link Jarrett's aversion to recruiting right-handed starting pitching, aside from the guy already on the roster who hasn't pitched for 2 years? Yeah. Is FSU allowed to recruit and roster legit bullpen arms, or is that just off the table here? Despite this question, I do want to say I've got 100% confidence that Link has the program headed in the right direction. He's not perfect, nor do I expect him to be, but I am seeing a few pitching trends I hope get cleaned up next season. Okay, I don't feel as bad about it now after reading that part.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I get it because it's not just that he's complaining to complain. They're not playing this weekend because of the bullpen. And that's not necessarily fair. It's not like they scored 9 runs on Friday. They scored 4, and their base running was abysmal. But if their closer can hold a 3-run, 2-out lead with one guy on in the 9th inning, or if you have a better option behind him, or any option, not just a better option, any option that you trust on that in that Friday game, you're probably in Omaha right now. Almost certainly in Omaha right now. At the same time, it's hard to get to Omaha. I don't know how many coaches in the country. I would guess I'm literally.
Dude, think of all the awesome coaches that are not there.
Tony Vitello. Like, I'm trying to think of all the coaches that have been in the country. He's been to 4 super regionals in 5 years. In Omaha twice.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's normal.
It's
and
not.
I think he's probably one of 2 or 3.
Dude, I mean, think about it. So Jim Schlossnagle, who Texas gave the world to get out of College Station, he took A&M to the College World Series Finals last year. They won Game 1 but lost Games 2 and 3. Jim Schlossnagle doesn't even make it out of his regional. Loses. That would be like Florida State losing in the regional to UCF. They lost to Texas San Antonio.
Twice.
Tony Vitello loses in super regionals. Yep. Kevin O'Connor from UVA doesn't even make it into the tournament. Or is it Kevin O'Connor?
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. O'Sullivan at Florida doesn't make it out of the regionals. I mean, there's all these great coaches that didn't make it nearly as far as Link did either. So, I know he said that he has full confidence in Link Jarrett. I just think that we got, I don't want to say we got ahead of our skis, but we felt very confident about where this team could possibly do. They could maybe mess around and see what happens in Omaha because it was just a wide open field this year. But to your point, this just the amount of success Link has had at Notre freaking Dame, and then what he was able to do in year 2 here at Florida State. Mind you, losing his top lieutenants, right? Rich Wallace, Chuck Ristano were with him in Notre Dame. Those guys leave after year 1, take head coaching jobs. He's got to replenish the entire roster and then, creates maybe one of the most prolific offenses in this, storied program's history.
Lose coaches. He lost Tibbs, Cam Smith, Ferrer, Dingus, Cantu. He lost a ton of offense too, and they were again 1 out away essentially from being in Omaha 2 years in a row. Yeah. That said, that does not excuse how horrible the bullpen was for almost the entire season. Aslan, I did the story earlier this week. Everybody not named those 4 starting pitchers. So Jamie Arnold, Wes Mendez, Joey Vellini, and Evan Kress for the 16 innings he pitched.
Yeah.
Take them aside and throw them to another table. Everybody else on the staff, which essentially is your entire bullpen, because all those guys are starters, had an ERA of 5.78. You had nobody with an ERA under 4.64 in your bullpen. And you're at Florida State. It's not hard to attract pitching. So I don't know if it's the evaluation. It's hard for me to look at somebody, even like Joe Charles, a nasty slider that throws 95 to 96 miles an hour. You're telling me he can't, with I don't know, better usage, better pitch selection, pitch calling, better coaching. I don't know. You're telling me there's not anything in there that kid can't be a sub-2 ERA? Peyton Prescott was throwing 100 miles an hour. 100.
Yeah.
In Corvallis. Tallahassee the week before against Bethune, he's throwing 98 and 99 miles an hour routinely. Until the postseason, his ERA was 6. What's going on, man? I think if Link wants to take this next step to not just be a Omaha team, which they were this year, they were out away, to a national championship team, I said this on headlines. I think it's man, I brought up Moneyball, and I'm going to do it again real quick. When they're interviewing Brad Pitt for the Boston Red Sox job at the end, and he's because I think analytics and Bill James has the answer to the curse of the Bambino. I think the curse of Florida State sports in Omaha and in the postseason has almost, not always, but almost always been the bullpen. So why not go get yourself an incredible bullpen and see what happens?
I mean, because you can't lose Jamie Arnold. Right? You can't lose Jamie Arnold. You had to get Miles Bailey. You had to,
everything. I'm saying make not just you got to go spend all your money on the bullpen arms.
Right.
I'm saying do whatever you have to do. Make that priority number 1. If you don't think this guy is the best pitching coach, and I'm not saying that, he clearly likes Mike Posey, And you can't dismiss what Mike Capozzi did do with Joey Bellini and Jamie Arnold and Wes Mendez, save for that Corvallis start. They did make some improvements. But you got to go talk to other coaches who have good bullpens and see what they do other than, I just went and got a bunch of good guys. Like, why does Coastal Carolina, Joe Charles's ERA would have been the 11th best on the Coastal Carolina pitching staff. And I know he's not in they're not in the ACC. I also know they held Auburn to 2 runs in Game 2, mostly using their bullpen. Why does Coastal Carolina have such a great bullpen? Why does Oregon State? Why is Oregon State's bullpen so much better than yours? So I just think it's a fair question, because it's not just during the season, buddy. It was in Omaha against Tennessee. You had a 4-run lead. And as much as we like Connor Whitaker and Brendan Oxford, are those dynamite arms?
No.
Are those electric arms? No. Joe Charles, there's some electricity there, but he's not a wipeout closer. Prescott was your best arm. His ERA was 6. So these last 2 years, I think, would be proof that, okay, change it up a bit. Maybe only have 2 good starters. Don't put money into a third starter, because you don't need it that much. A lights-out bullpen is much, much more valuable, I think, in the truncated college postseason than a third starter, in my opinion. But you also got a little bit unlucky, and, you just got a little bit unlucky. And Joe Charles walked the kid that had 19 at-bats all year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to all say, right, they missed, right? They thought Ben Barrett was going to develop into something, at least this year.
But I guess I would say this. Did they miss, or are these guys just not getting coached up well enough? And are they lacking in confidence? And why do they lack in confidence?
But the thing is, so why is it the bullpen? But, Jamie Arnold doesn't lack confidence. Joey Vellini doesn't lack confidence. Wes Mendez doesn't lack confidence. So,
because maybe they're coached different. I don't know. That literally, I would hope, because Link, trust me, Link's not binge watching Andor. He's not watching the Handmaid's Tale. All he thinks about his entire life, I assume other than his children, is about this baseball team. Yeah. He's solely consumed by it. Yeah. He's got to be asking himself, why was my bullpen's ERA 5.78, and why was my best bullpen arm, which was Joe Charles, why did he finish with an ERA of 4.84? What is going on, and how do we correct this? Am I giving Florida State the best chance to finally end this curse if I run out a bullpen with an ERA of 5.78? What do I have to do to fix this? But you're right. I'm not saying that Mike Capozzi's the problem. I'm saying Link Jarrett has to figure out what the bullpen problem is and do whatever he can to fix it. And I don't think it's just necessarily get better pitchers. Yeah. I think some of those guys have some really good stuff, man.
Well, that's the thing. That's what he wanted. I think he saw that against Tennessee last year. And Joe was throwing really high velo. They went and got Peyton Prescott, who's a flamethrower, right? They went and they added that piece, and then they thought they had guys Mason Martinez might not have overwhelming stuff, but that was a guy that probably could give you several innings. John Abraham it didn't seem like he improved much from year 1 to year 2. Chris Kinnear's a guy they had to go get from a junior college. So
Connor Holtz didn't pitch nearly. He started off the season horribly and then got hurt.
I think Hudson Roan was probably going to be part of their plans, but couldn't.
And he could never throw strikes.
Yeah, so they liked what they had. All right, we got some stuff here, and we'll figure it out over the course of a 4-month season, and it didn't materialize.
Yeah, so I don't know if you got to figure out a different way to figure it out.
Yeah, you're right.
That was the thing with 11. I thought, much to his detriment, is he was so competitive. I've talked about this before. Those Tuesday games and Wednesday games during the season, or even a Sunday game when you've already won the series, he so much wanted to win those games that he would keep riding the same bullpen guys that he trusted. They were good, and they would get him the win. But then late in the season, after those guys had thrown too many innings, or they were worn down, or they just didn't have it that day, because he didn't use February and March and April to develop real options out of the bullpen, he was left with 2 or 3 guys. Last year, Link Jarrett had 2 guys in the bullpen he could count on, really. Oxford and Whitaker. And Holtz to a lesser degree. He's kind of a 1.5, 2-pitch pitcher, but to a lesser degree, he did have very good moments. But it was basically Oxford and Whitaker. Yeah. In this year, he was left with 1. Joe Charles. Yeah. If you don't believe me, Joe Charles was still in the game in the 9th inning with the bases loaded. And then so that was the guy they trusted. Hopefully they can figure out a way to get 4 or 5 or 6 guys they can trust.
There you go. You can find people you trust over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Bring 4, 5, 6 people you trust to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Help the quotient that we have going over there. Enjoy daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for only $8.99. Those entrees come with a side dish of your choice as well. Everything on the menu slaps, as Brady Clark and his cohort say, as they're hanging out in Hoover. Where are they? Where is there a bed check right now for Brady Clark?
No, and it's awesome, too, because he's got an 8 a.m. game tomorrow,
or
later today as you're listening to this. So, folks, while you're listening to this, I'll actually be up for the first time, getting him to a game. No, he's at his friends' hotels at the pool or in the hot tub.
Nice, mom. Hey, man, gotta work on that body, man. Maintain it. Maintain it. Daily lunch specials. Weekday happy hours, 4 to 7 o'clock. Ice cold drinks, delicious food, dartboards, pool tables, and 40 different television screens. It's the pros pro. Where they go when they want to go to a sports bar. It's a Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. We got to go fast here, Corey. I'm a little tired.
Quick.
But before that, though, have you watched Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV with John Hamm?
Yeah.
Okay. Just started it with Abby last night. So
it's watchable.
Okay.
It's not my favorite thing I've ever watched, but that I don't want to make it sound like it's horrible. It's good. It's good. It's watchable.
Okay. All right. That's all we can ask for.
It's not Andor. I compare everything to Andor.
You're a big
It's not Andor.
You are a big Andor fan. I like this question, and I know who I would nominate for it, and it would be you, Corey. But let's get to it.
Olivia Munn, by the way.
Yeah.
Man. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Wasn't that Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend for a minute?
I think they might have been engaged.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was engaged to the other actress, Shailene Woodley.
Yeah, Woodby, I think.
But yes, he definitely dated Olivia Munn, and now who's married to John Mulaney, the comedian.
Yeah. We're thinking about Jaden Lars Woodby, I think. My bad. I think Woodley, my bad.
Fair.
Our guy, Bingham FSU, hello. Coming to you from Birmingham, home to Rickwood Field, built in 1910, making it the oldest professional baseball park in America, older than Fenway and Wrigley. Next time, send us write your question on the Rennie Express mailbag seated inside Rickwood Field for us. Can you do that next time?
Yeah. And I'm in Hoover, which is a suburb of Birmingham, so I drove through it earlier today.
Our guy's got Chris Ricks in his avatar. It's my guy. Love it.
Okay, nice.
All right, as we close down baseball season and football season on the horizon, I find it amazing that fans at home seemingly know how to coach from their couch, the press box. But the actual coaches at times miss simple moves. I know all the coaches are very busy during games and are caught up in the action. Any benefit to having a set of eyes that suggests strategy-only moves, like warm up a pitcher, change a pitcher, call a timeout, challenge that, kick the ball? This likely exists, but clearly the communication isn't clear to the head coach, since as fans, we see obvious decisions not being made. I think Bill Simmons had something about this a long while ago, Corey. Just some sort of the inner monologue or something of a team where it's like you should have somebody at home who is not caught up in all this nonsense, that has a clear mind and a clear set of eyes and can be like, no, punt it, right? And I think you would be amazing at that. Is that something that could be worked into? Would Norvell text you? And you just text them back, or
I don't think it would work that way. I think I'd have to be standing next to him. But yeah, I would. I don't think I'd be overwhelmed by the.
Could you be as good? Could you be on top of your game though, Corey, on the field in Doak with 65,000 people?
If it's instantaneous, like if I have a walkie-talkie from my home or from more, like if I'm watching in the cafeteria and I'm watching a live feed, and it's not a 20-second delay, because it doesn't do me any good if I'm like, hey man, you don't need to call a timeout right here. And he's already called the timeout 20 seconds ago. Yeah. But if it's instantaneous, then I think I could be as good on the sideline, but maybe not. I've never done it. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There is.
You get caught up in the moment. I think because I'm older, I'm about to hit a big milestone here in a couple days, I think I'd be able to handle it. But I absolutely think every coach needs it. And Mike Norvell is not alone. But there are so many football coaches, and I've lamented this for years, that call such dumb timeouts when they don't need to, when they need to let the clock run, and they call a timeout instead for no reason. Or they don't have a guy warming up when they should, or blah, blah. Yes, I do think there should be an extra set of eyes, because it's understandable you're so locked into the game and how that player is playing that maybe you're not thinking worst-case scenario. I'm really good. I've lived my whole life thinking worst-case scenario, much to my detriment at times. What could go wrong? I make it go wrong sometimes because I think about it so much. I don't think coaches think enough about worst-case scenario. And they don't think, well, if I call a timeout here and I score, I'm going to be really excited. We're all going to be excited that we just scored a touchdown. Oh, wait, there's still 36 seconds left. And I just saved them a chance to go win the game with a field goal because I called a timeout I didn't need to call a timeout for. We're at the 2-yard line. I could have let 15 more seconds run off the clock and then called a timeout. We only got 2 plays left anyway. It's 3rd down. Why do I need to call a timeout here? I'm going to let it run down to 20 seconds. Then I'll call it.
That's what I missed. That's what I missed the most. That's what I missed the most about no more Pac-12 football is that you would know at 12:45 a.m. Corey's at CP watching Pac-12 football, and somebody's mismanaging the game, and he's like, they should not be using their timeouts yet. And it was a beautiful thing. I miss it.
Yep. I'll say this, and at Brady's game on Thursday, first inning, lefty on the mound, really good lefty, by the way. Brady's team struggled to get any hits at all. But he walks the first guy. The next guy gets on an error. So it's 1st and 3rd, nobody out. He's a lefty. It's 16-year-old baseball, man. It's 1st and 3rd, nobody out, Aslan. Yeah. Do you think the guy on first is probably going to steal? 1st and 3rd, nobody out. This isn't the major leagues. They still give that away most of the time. Yeah. He's probably going to steal. And I'm telling both parents sitting next to me, so-and-so, I'm not going to say his name, needs to know that he's going to throw over right here. It's first pitch. He's going to throw over. He knows you're going to go. He wants to see if he can trick you into leaving early because it's such a stealable position. And as a lefty, he's looking right at you. He is absolutely going to throw over on this first pitch. Did the first base coach tell him? No. Corey in the stands knew it. And what do you know? So-and-so gets picked off. First pitch. Wasn't even a pitch. First, he doesn't throw a pitch. He throws over to first, gets him picked off in a rundown. Get on third, still scored, so they got to run out of it. But it's just like, I think I'd be okay at that. Anyway, that wasn't really rapid fire. Sorry. Good question, though.
30 seconds, real quick. Would you have yelled louder on the headset when you heard the play call against LSU in New Orleans for the pitch out to Trayshawn? Would you have been like, no?
Yeah,
or would you have been...
I would have, and I know I'm not a football coach. I would have made it abundantly clear to the point that I was fired. Why are we running the ball at all? This needs to be a QB sneak or nothing. And if they stop you at that 1-inch line, I would absolutely not. I would not. It's not that risky a call. It's not like he threw a pass over the middle. It was a pitch out. But, man, just QB sneak it. You have a point. All you're asking Ryan Fitzgerald to do is make a point after touchdown, a PAT, an extra point as some people call it, and the game is over. The game is over. That's all. The game is over. Who cares if you win by 10 or 14 or 3? If you go up by 2 scores there, the game is over. And you also, it's not the end of the world to run more clock. Do not try to score on this play. Take a effing knee. And if Ryan Fitzgerald misses a 19-yard field goal to put us up by 10 points, well, then Ryan Fitzgerald is no longer a Florida State Seminole. But nobody's going to blame me. I did the right thing. So, yes, I would have said QB sneak, QB sneak, QB sneak over and over again until they turned off my mic.
We go from Birmingham to North Alabama, Noel, perhaps Huntsville.
All right, okay.
There were plenty of top 10s, top 5s, et cetera, of players to wear the garnet and gold, but there's never been a top 10 or top 5 of FSU athletes that did not make it to their respective professional leagues. Would be interesting to hear both of your thoughts on a top 5 or top 10. We're definitely going top 5. Football players from the perhaps Jimbo era on that did not end up in the NFL.
That's a good question.
Via the draft or undrafted free agency. One caveat being that they could have gone to the league but chose not to for whatever reason. Charlie Ward, for example.
Byron Roll.
Yeah, right. Who's surprised it didn't make it to the league? Ryan Izzo. Well, no, Ryan Izzo's for the Patriots. He was on the Patriots.
Yeah, he played. That's hard. Tamorian Terry?
Yeah, but that was, some
I get it, but
yeah,
he
but
never
right.
played.
That's the answer. Yeah,
most of the guys that are really good played in the league. Kalen DeLoach? Because I know he was on the Buccaneers practice squad.
He didn't make it.
But I don't want to give up on him. He's just a year out of college.
Yeah.
So Mastromanno,
Yeah.
does he count?
Yeah.
You know who I think, and he actually made the NFL, I think. I don't know how long he played, but I thought Sean Powell, the punter, was going to play in the league for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he didn't, but he didn't. I'm sure there's other ones that are going to come to mind. Marvin Wilson. How about Marvin Wilson?
Yeah, I think he just hung around on practice squads. I don't think he was ever elevated to active.
Yeah, and he was, man, when was that, 18? Whenever they blew the 27-7 lead down there at Miami, he and Brian
18.
Burns were unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
They were really, really good. And then Brian Burns is now a All-Pro and a multi-millionaire. And I think Marvin's playing in like the UFL or the XFL. And I know he got hurt. He had some injury issues, but I just thought that kid was supremely talented.
Yeah, but he didn't make it. He made it to the NFL via undrafted free agency or whatever. But yeah, I'm just like Mastromanno. Like I search his name on Twitter like he's my ex-boyfriend or something. Like every other week, I'm like Alex Mastromanno NFL just to see. I'm like he's got to be having a tryout rookie camp. I haven't been able to find anything on him or Darius Washington. So good question. Maybe another day.
Good question. We didn't give it enough thought. We'll give it more thought. But those are good.
He did say from the Jimbo era on, though, so we weren't having to reach back, too far back. So I think that probably, I'm trying, like, who played for Jimbo that I'm like, I cannot believe they didn't, make it. Mike Harris? Mike Harris was good defensive.
Reed?
Yeah, there we go.
But I can't kind of believe it because he was an undersized corner that wasn't a great cornerback, but he's an incredible punt returner, but then that became almost obsolete in the NFL because they punt it so high that most people are just back there to fair catch.
Was LaMarcus Joyner significantly bigger than him?
No, I think Greg Reed was, I think Joyner was probably 15 pounds heavier of muscle, like 15 pounds of straight muscle and energy and chaos that Greg Reed didn't have, and faster. He was bigger and he was stronger and faster. I don't know who weighed that much more. I think Greg Reed was probably a little taller, but LaMarcus Joyner was a unique dude, man.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have another baseball question. Our guy, Island Chief. Last weekend was a reminder, rerun season is here. As a Red Sox fan for years, it raises a question for me about the Noles. Does a coach trying to build a team that can win at Hauser build a team that isn't built to win outside of Hauser? Does playing with that short porch and right hurt this team in the long run?
Yeah, that's been a kind of a theory for a while. I don't think so, because especially I don't even want to bring up 11. Let's just think a link. Like I don't think these two games that they lost in Corvallis, they lost because they kept flying out to the track and right.
Yeah, they lost 14-10, right? I mean, Lodi said
they scored 10, and then they lost the other game because they blew a lead in the ninth. And then last year, I mean, they hit a ton of home runs in Omaha. Yeah. The reason they lost to Tennessee, the first game anyway, wasn't because of they kept flying out to the track and right, or they kept hitting fly balls. They blew a lead. They scored a lot of runs in that game. I think what was the final, 9-8 or 10-9? That was a high-scoring game, so they scored out in Omaha, and then they scored a bunch, or at least they hit a bunch of home runs against Carolina and Virginia the next 2 days to stay alive. So I think there's definitely probably something to that back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know that just these last 2 years that's been the case.
Yeah, he's got a good mixture. He's a guy that likes to go righty-lefty in the order too, right? So it's not like they just have a bunch of left-handed guys trying to just to feast off, pulling it down the short porch and they get exposed every year. So, yeah. But it is something that you do think about. But to your point, it was incredible, man. Like we forget too. They blew the lead in Omaha, and remember Max came out of most games, right? Like Max would come out of games for De'Ames Ross as a defensive substitution.
Yep. So would Ferrer for Jordan Taylor, maybe? I don't remember who would go play left sometimes for him.
But yeah, and then that whole rally for Tennessee started on a fly ball to center field.
Would have been a good catch.
It would have been.
Wasn't an automatic out.
No.
But you need to go make that play.
When you're a defensive substitute.
Yep. You need to go make that play. Max Williams could have not made that play just as easily. Absolutely. That's why that game they lost to Oregon State. Usually when you blow a lead like that, it's like, oh, God, you got to make that play.
Yeah.
There were none of those plays that inning.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he walked the world. It's just the flippin' walk to the kid that had 19 at bats all year that you got ahead 0-1. He swung and fouled off a fastball, and then you threw 4 straight balls. If he hits it to the moon, you still have the lead. You just can't walk him in that spot. But everything else they went and earned.
Illuminati, Noel, what happened to short, concise questions like, what have you heard about the incoming freshman enrollees? The setup to the questions has become exhaustingly long on here and at these news conferences. I feel like that's almost a personal attack.
But I also feel like is it like meta? Is he making fun of himself as he complains about it?
He also does ask, are the 26 recruits under the new house agreement, or maybe they signed something before July 1st?
I don't think that should matter. That's a great question, but I would think that they would be under the new house settlement. I don't think that because then when does it end? Like, you could be like, well, we got a commitment from the 28 kid.
Well, they got front loaded. I mean, like, if you're one of those,
25 kids did, not 26.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, 26. You're right. Yeah, 25.
Yeah, so I would think all these guys that are just about to start their senior year, again, I'm not speaking with complete authority, it would be absolutely baffling if they were able to grandfather themselves in too.
Yeah,
like,
no.
What are we even doing here?
Yeah, June 7th was like the end of apparent. Like everything post June 7th, I think now has to go through the NIL Go clearinghouse and everything. So,
and let's just hope there's enforcement. And as Alford said in that story that I alluded to earlier, he's already hearing from the football coaches that other schools are offering things they're not allowed to offer.
Did he say football coach or did he just say coaches?
He said coaches. He might have been. Yeah, it might have been something else. You're right.
I think it might be. I would just guess
basketball or baseball.
You're right. I would think maybe the baseball coach and him talk a lot.
But even still, I think that is like, okay, if they're offering things they're not supposed to be offering, turn them in.
Yeah.
Turn them in or cheat with them.
Yeah.
Those are your two options. But all through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, coaches would talk and talk and talk about how the rivals were cheating and never say who was actually doing the cheating. Yeah. Well, now do it. Now tell us that they're cheating. Tell us who you're talking about. Put your name on it.
Right. And they would never say the name because they never wanted to end up getting caught themselves or whatever. But it's going to be, I wonder if it's really going to be coaches or it's going to have to be like fans almost, right? Like the whole Mississippi State fiasco where they were trying to find dirt on Hugh Freeze and his recruiting, and they ended up finding him using his, state-issued employment phone to contact escorts and stuff like that. Like it's going to be,
I think if
FSU Twitter, you folks, FSU Twitter, it's you guys.
You got to get after it. But I also think
out.
If you're recruiting a linebacker that's transferring from Bowling Green and he tells you, well, Tennessee's offered me $250,000. What are you going to offer me? And they are $800,000. You're like, well, they're not allowed to offer you that. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but they have.
Wearing a wire. Every coach wear a wire.
Come out and say, well, we wanted like Norvell could be like, we wanted Joe Smith, but he told us that Tennessee was offering him $800,000. I had the text messages. Now he could have been lying. I don't have proof, but I know that Joe Smith told me that Tennessee offered him $800,000, and here's the proof.
Yeah.
Who cares? You're not going to get him anyway because you're not going to offer him $801. So throw them all under the bus.
I just want to see that. I just want to see a hammer drop on. Like, let's just see it was Carson Beck or whatever. Actually Carson Beck's not a good example because he was pre-house. But just like they find out that a quarterback made $50,000 for some no-show job NIL thing or whatever, right? But not NIL, but pay for play under the table. And they find this out, like they've got documentation, whatever, and they suspend the kid for 6 games. Like I want to see that. I want to see like a real legitimate strike down of you trying to acquire players through this under the table means that was happening for so long.
I would say, put some real teeth into it.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. I mean, because the guy, the Sealy guy who was at not C-League, but Sealy who was at Major League Baseball, he was the one that I think investigated the Astros. And then the Astros, the whole stealing signs and making noise with the garbage cans, that was the Astros, right?
Yeah.
They guys got fired and there was real they got the book thrown at them more or less.
Yeah, I mean Altuve's still playing, Bregman's still playing, the World Series still counted, and Cora then got a job with the Red Sox. So
well, maybe not then.
But I mean it was punitive at the time. They did get fired. There was a fallout. but it lasted a year. But the beauty is college athletes don't have that long. You can't roll back in 3 years and everything's forgiven. Your eligibility's up. So, I'm telling you, the biggest thing about all this, Alfred is completely right. There has to be some teeth into it. There has to be some teeth with the enforcement, and there have to be real consequences, not slaps on the wrist. Otherwise, everybody will cheat rampantly.
All right, last question. Our guy, SQuinn67.
Let's do it.
Baseball missing Omaha stinks, but we should be proud of the way the team overachieved our expectations. It's a shame that we won't be able to show off our new facilities during college game day, and what an opportunity it would have been for us to send Coach Corso off properly, but did we really want those snakes in our grass? It'll be much better for the team just to beat Bama quietly. Question, off topic. Who or what is the best interview either of you have ever done in your careers? Who or what is the best FSU-affiliated interview you have ever done? Trying to think. I interviewed Drew Brees. That was cool. Drew Brees is really fun. That felt cool.
All right, yeah.
But it
couldn't have been that long, right?
Right, yeah. It was like a 3-minute interview I had with him.
But it's cool when you get somebody like that.
Yeah, well, we have the exclusive, too, or whatever.
Speaking of Lee Corso, I got an exclusive with him, I'm going to say back in 2002 when I was working at my former paper up in Gwinnett. Oh, nice. He was speaking at the Atlanta Touchdown Club, and I got him for like 25 minutes, and he was awesome. Awesome. He even said when we were done, he's like, "Are you writing a book on me?" Because it was like a 25-minute. But I think he enjoyed it. But I hope he did anyway. We laughed and joked and talked. But he was really insightful and accommodating. That was a good one. But one of my all-time favorites, though, and it's hard to pick, man. And I'm not saying this like a brag, but when you're almost 50 and you've been doing this for 30 years, I've interviewed literally thousands of people. So it's hard to put one into a box and say this was great. But there's two that I think of the most, not because they were maybe the best, but just because of the context of them. One was Lou Williams, who played in the NBA for 12 or 15 years. I happened to be working in Gwinnett County and saw him the 5th game he ever played varsity basketball, 4th maybe, when he was a freshman at South Gwinnett High School. And I'm like, holy cow, this is unbelievable. Like, he was dunking. He was only 6'1". He wasn't like a 6'9" kid dunking. He was just incredible. And then a couple of weeks later, I interviewed him on a Saturday morning. This is how long ago it was. I interviewed him that morning on a Saturday morning and then drove down to Macon to watch Jeff Francoeur play in a high school state championship football game. I've been doing this for a while, folks. But I remember Lou Williams, even at 15, he was Lewis back then. He was just so comfortable with who he was. And I remember asking him, because he was averaging like 29 a game, and he's 15, and he didn't mean this braggadociously, but I'm like, do your senior teammates, or your guys that are juniors and seniors, and you're this hot shot that comes in? Because he talked about, like, his first practice. He's like, I was nervous at first because I'm a freshman. I'm playing with these older guys. And then he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to show them that I can play, and I'm going to try to score every time I get it, just to show them what I can do. Because he was a phenom. Like, he was a kid that in 8th grade, in the 8th grade championship game, they won 52-48. He scored 49 of their points. Like, he was just a phenom. And so and I'm like, but did they get mad that you shot so much? He's like, well, they're not dumb. They're not losers. They want to win. And they know I'm the best player, and our best chances of winning is for me to have the ball the most. And he's saying this at 15. And he's not saying it as like, it's hard to put into words how pragmatic it seemed at the time. Like, well, yeah, that's fair. Like, he was 15 going on 40.
Touche, governor.
Yeah, and then also, I'm like, but he also admitted, he's like, but man, these girls might be a problem. And if you know anything about Lou's career as he got in the NBA, just some interesting stories there. But I just thought that was so, like, 15. He's 15. He wasn't a 17-year-old freshman. He was a 15-year-old freshman that just had a view of who he was already and so comfortable in his own skin that I always remembered that and always assumed he was going to be a big-time player because of that. And then Brian Stork. Because Brian Stork is well-known, hated the media. I don't know. I think he hates most people. But he was the center on the 2013 national championship team. He was notorious for not wanting to talk to anyone. If you asked him a question, it was always one or two syllables, not even words, syllables, answers. But I got him for like a 30-minute interview, and he just opened up and really told some kind of poignant stuff about his dad, because his dad passed away. He didn't really have a relationship with his mom. His senior year of high school, he lived by himself. And his sister lived in the town, but, she had her own family. And so he was just really kind of insightful about what that was like. And I was always proud of that interview because nobody else could get him to open up like that. And somehow, for some reason, that night, he felt like he could talk to me, and that was cool. And that was way too long an answer. I'm sorry. The real answer is
Willie Taggart 2018 ACC Media Days.
Perfect. Good answer. Great answer.
Bad Boys 2.
They didn't have turds. He told us they didn't have turds on the team, and he was right.
Bad Boys 2, everybody.
Oh, boy. Come on. Don't take shots.
Bad Boys 2.
Don't take shots.
Okay.
What do you think Norvell's favorite movie is? Or Jimbo's favorite movie? Jimbo's favorite movie is, like, I bet,
Ben-Hur.
What'd you say, Ben-Hur?
Yeah.
Yeah. His is like The Great Escape or something. Yeah, but, Bad Boys 2. There's a lot of people that love Bad Boys 2, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what's your favorite Fast and Furious? I don't know, man. They're all great, right?
That's right. That's good.
Okay, we're done. Hopefully that wasn't too hard on your ears, everybody. We'll be back in normal stations next week, cranking out some content for you folks. In the meantime, check out warchant.com. Lots of recruiting going on. By the way, they got a 4-star receiver. Bennett is his last name. I should know about it. I spoke about it with Michael Langston. Brandon Bennett. Go check out warchant.com's premium recruiting board for more analysis on that. Big man camp. All the things you need to know. And top 40's got to be right around the corner, I'd imagine, Corey.
You would think. Yeah, you would think.
All right, so we'll play that song for you, too. Have a great weekend, everybody. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Corey, I think happy birthday, buddy. I don't think I'm going to talk to you until after that. So have a happy birthday, man.
Thank you, man. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Amen. Amen.
Happy Father's Day.
Heck yeah.
To mine as well, even though he's been dead for 14 years. Still love the old man.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.